Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal government will table its first budget on Tuesday, marking a major test of his minority on Parliament, triggering a confidence vote. And Conservative Leader Pierre Poilievre was speaking in Ottawa today, criticising the Prime Minister's policies and performance so far.
Carney signals he's prepared to fight an election over next week's budget. Why does the Prime Minister, this costly Prime Minister, want a costly election now? Why? Well, the answer is Mark Carney needs a costly election on his costly budget to distract from all of his broken promises.
Pierre Poilievre says the Liberals' promises haven't made good on the promises made during the election campaign. The comments come as negotiations with the U.S. halted indefinitely after Donald Trump was angered by an anti-tariff ad produced by the Ontario government. Pierre Poilievre won't say he and his caucus would decide on whether or not to support the budget. Pierre Poilievre says they won't support a budget that doesn't make life more affordable for Canadians. Leading up to the budget, Carney has framed the budget as of austerity and investment, but warned that a record deficit is expected. Let's now bring in political analyst Lori Turnbull in the conversation. Lori, good afternoon. Great to have you on the program. What's your takeaway from what Pierre Poilievre had to say today? Very critical of the policies and the Prime Minister's performance the last 7 months before Tuesday, the day the Liberals lay down the budget.
Right. I think he's trying to tie the overall performance of the Prime Minister, the lack of deal with the United States, to the budget vote. And the fact that the budget vote is, as you said, a confidence vote. I think he wants to keep that narrative focused on the fact that Prime Minister Carney, his big election promise was he's the right person to deal with Donald Trump. And that was, I think, the big reason why Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives were on the road to win the election, and then they didn't. And so I think Poilievre wants to keep that critical eye on the Prime Minister. I also think that all of the parties are trying to sort of pre-position a blame game if they end up in election. It's not our fault, it's the other side's fault.
But about the message he had, that let's have a more affordable budget, a life more affordable for Canadians, raising those key issues of food prices, of affordable housing. Your take on the message that he has for the Prime Minister saying, look, I met with you, I had some solutions to offer, but of course, the Liberals think otherwise.
Well, I think, again, he's pre-positioning a vote against the budget. And I think he is assuming that the big parts of the budget are going to be about austerity. And the Liberals have been socializing cuts to the public service, that sort of thing. So there's going to be, we expect there will be austerity pieces, but perhaps also investment pieces that keep that deficit, that debt high. And so if there's nothing there on affordability, if there's nothing, really key that actually connects to the affordability challenges that Canadians have every day, then the Conservatives have kind of charted a course where they can vote against, and they can really continue to push that message against the Prime Minister and say that he's essentially tone deaf on the affordability crisis.
Who then? I mean, in all likelihood, Conservatives will oppose what the Liberals have to table come Tuesday, but we know that this is a minority government. Mark Carney needs the support to see this budget go through. So who then do you think is going to step up?
I'm not sure that anybody steps up exactly. I think the likelihood is that the New Democrat members, for example, given the fact that they are in a pretty vulnerable position right now, they are cash-strapped, they have lost official party status, they are looking for a new leader. I don't know that it's in their interest whatsoever to take another walk down the campaign trail, and so it's possible that some of their members will abstain. But there are risks to that, particularly if the budget doesn't seem to do anything on affordability, anything for workers. The New Democrats might decide they're going to stand up and vote against, even if that takes them to an uncomfortable place. I do think, though, to your point around this is a minority government, the government doesn't act that way. They have, from day one, they have been trying to act like they have a majority, and in some ways, every minority government wants to do that. But during a budget vote, it's possible that they are going to have to take something from some other party in order to see that budget go through. And it seems to me, even though they've kind of had a few pieces trickle out, the meat of the budget, we don't know what that is yet. And so it's hard to know, to be honest, when this comes out on Tuesday, what the parties are going to do.
Right. We're all, of course, watching for that closely. But one last question to you, Lori, about some things that Pierre Poilievre raised today, the last 7 months and the promises unkept. Your take on that? I mean, 7 months, this is a very tumultuous period looking at with our neighbors down south. The Prime Minister is making all these trips all around the globe, trying to build some relations, as we know. Your take on how Pierre Poilievre is positioning, how successful or not the Prime Minister has been so far?
I think Pierre Poilievre is trying to push expectations that the Prime Minister should have something to show for these negotiations by now. And I think on the other side of it, when we look, for example, at the Prime Minister making trips to Asia last week, talking to trade partners, building up other relationships, we didn't see any kind of concrete deals, really, that came from that. It seemed to be a kind of relationship building set of meetings. And so that stuff will take time. I think that that's going to be a key challenge for the Prime Minister, in that people, there was urgency to the affordability crisis. There was urgency to the housing crisis, and all of these things, relationship building, major projects, they all take time to build. And so will the Prime Minister be able to keep enough trust so that he can keep people with him until he actually does have some kind of deal, something to actually show for it?
Okay, we'll leave it at that for this afternoon. Lori Turnbull, political analyst. Appreciate your time, Lori. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.